We all know Unikitty by now, right? Otherwise why would you even watch my channel? She got her start in the Lego movies and then got her own show on Cartoon Network. But what if I told you that her spin-off legacy could have been a little different? Because talks at Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network about giving her the spotlight were going around as early as 2016. And while the early concepts and tweets like this are enough to confirm that since the show came out in 2018, there's another major, publicly available piece of evidence that most people still don't know about. Even I didn't know about it for a really long time. But one Google Images search led me to this webpage on Emily Dean's website, and it opened my mind up to a whole new display of lost content to overanalyze. May I introduce you to Mean Girls for Unikitty. Let's start with asking ourselves who Emily Dean is. She's an artist and filmmaker who's worked for companies like Sony, Blur Studio, and of course Warner Brothers. The BTS section of her website lists lots of showcases for her animated projects, including a Unikitty special. This webpage reads as follows. Original story concept based on the Lego movie character Unikitty pitched at Warner Brothers in 2016 as a 40-minute Mean Girls for Unikitty TV special. Unikitty and Lerp, Little Ugly Rock Piece, two rejects and unlikely best friends on the island of Diadema Heights. After those, all we get are the storyboards she did, and I think it's safe to assume there are way more, so either these are just the ones she did or she just used a select few to give people an idea of what the special would have been like. And first off, I have no idea if Mean Girls for Unikitty would have actually been the title or it was a placeholder to compare it to the movie Mean Girls, but if that's the case then the other three cats would have barely been in it. But one of them is still pretty much the queen of Diadema Heights like Regina George over North Shore High School, and her name is Catalina the Perfect. The plot seems to be about Unikitty getting invited to Diadema Heights to be her new bestie. As for the other two, there's no info on the webpage about their names, nor do we get much about their personalities other than the green one being more naive and optimistic than Unikitty. I assume younger too since she's smaller. In fact, the blue one's pretty much useless because she seems to just be an enabler, but not the well-meaning kind like the green kitten, who she might be related to. They do seem close, but they live in this volcano temple thing, and Unikitty has to prove her worth by passing some kind of test that she isn't happy about, and she fails, getting shot out of the volcano and waking up in some dark forest next to the rock that turns out to be Lerp. I'm gonna hate having to use that name over and over, aren't I? From then on, most of the storyboards show the adventure these two go on, with some other characters that also look like they came out of the Lego movies, and it would have ended with Unikitty and Lerp getting back to Catalina and almost dying, but the green kitten sacrifices herself to save them, and that's when the other cats realize they messed up. Lerp uses his little plan to save her, so Unikitty gets all the other cats to take the same journey she just did. The end. It's kind of a typical adventure story that I'm pretty sure I would have liked if it did get made and air on Cartoon Network, but mostly just because it's Unikitty. Otherwise I don't think it would have been that memorable, with lessons we've all heard before like be yourself and don't judge people based on what you think is ugly and imperfect. Also there's no angry Unikitty in any of these storyboards. Wouldn't she get red and fiery at least once considering that's one of the best known things about her? They must have known that going in, right? Overall, I wouldn't trade the show we got for the world as it is, so I'm glad we ended up getting that instead of this, but I still find it interesting to look at because it's kinda fun seeing these early attempts at Unikitty-centered stories. Like these writers and artists were trying to find their footing with her and experimenting with what worked best for a long time, especially since I have my fair share of fanfics about this character and her show that I either lost motivation to continue or straight up cancelled. But seeing these gives me hope that one day, if we see Unikitty and her friends again, that concepts like these can be brought back and done justice. But especially the other cats. Something about them just stands out to me compared to everything else in this storyboard collection, so they're the main reason I did one of the biggest things I swear to not do over and over again. Reach out to an animation professional for answers. Most of the time it doesn't work out too well, but Emily Dean was the only person who gave us anything about this scrapped special, so I found her Instagram account and prayed with fingers crossed that she would be okay with my questions. Anne. she responded. So naturally I froze a bit and typed my main questions as fast as I could, hoping for some long-awaited answers. But I also said that I understood if she couldn't answer them because you never know what contracts and copyright BS can force people to hide. And 2 days later, she responded again with these messages.
Hey, so I actually can't give answers to some of these, but I can say, it was an original idea I pitched while working at Warner Bros. Animation Group in 2016-17. I wanted to tell a story about Unikitty going through peer pressure, bullying and self-doubt and coming out the side stronger. The project didn't move forward because they were already talking about a Unikitty show in the TV division, but that was in early stages and I was working in feature animation division. I thought Unikitty could have a friend who was a rock with a little plant on his head who teaches Unikitty strength and growth. And thinking about their friendship made me smile, but I have no idea whether it influenced the later Unikitty show or if it was just a coincidence. Either way, happy people love the Unikitty show and they have fans like you. All the best for your video.
So turns out it wasn't involved with the show at all, and Cartoon Network seemed more invested in it than just one special, which is understandable. But also, how come the info on these two is so classified? But to be fair, it made me want to do my own version of these three cats even more, so I'm mostly basing this on that scrapped idea for the third SpongeBob movie with an alien cat species. They canned it because it would have been too dark, and to that I say screw you, Nick. It still would have been way better than the end result. So now imagine a race of alien Lego cats obsessed with having extraordinary powers and using them perfectly. And then OMG, a unicorn cat. She must be one of our own. There's no way the life she chose for herself can be better than what we can provide for her, just as long as she too submits to our queen. Now let's draw them and give them names. First we have the queen herself, and I know her name is Catalina, but if everyone's a cat, why not have her name be a bit more special? So I combined it with Felidina, the class of mammals cats belong to. It's also the name of a really messed up, obscure animated movie about cats. Look it up only if you dare, and you're old enough. Hence why it felt even more fitting for our villainess. I also figured that since she's supposed to be this dramatic foil for Unikitty, why not make her nice and colorful too, except with a more mature and refined color scheme. And I might be indifferent to this design, but I actually took some influence from the 2018 Racing Miku. Something about the dark blues and reds just felt like they belonged with a lighter yellow, so I took advantage of that and used them for her paws and cape, which I gave her because her tail was already kinda cape-shaped. So instead of keeping it the same, she has no tail and the cape is meant to cover that up. Maybe not that well, but it's an attempt. She definitely deserved a crown too because she takes her status more seriously than Unikitty, but I ended up turning that into a halo. I also made her hair a bit longer too because just the one flowing bit felt a bit off-putting, but I couldn't decide if I wanted it to be brown or purple, so I tried to come up with a compromise. Still very important that her lipstick and eyelashes stay the same, but she still needs some extra fancy pizzazz, so I gave her a very sun and star themed aesthetic because she sees herself as the bright guiding light that provides for her people, and terrorizes other planets, so what better than things associated with space? So that's how I made Queen Felidina. Next up, we have the blue cat, whose redesign I based on another version of Hatsune Miku, this time referencing her layered envy module from Project Diva X and the crystal ponies from My Little Pony Gen 4 because my first instinct was to give her crystal looking fur. Can you even call it that anymore? I just wanted each cat to be unique, so here's me making her into a protective right-hand general character kinda like Crocodile, but better at hiding her emotions. Or is she? Since the way her eyelashes looked in the storyboards was a bit inconsistent, I stuck to one singular pointy eyelash and some good old pointy shapes for her eyes, plus 2 fangs instead of 1 to show how extra sharp and edgy she is, and she needed a sword, cause she was just incomplete without one. So everyone, say hello to Crystalcat. Now we get to the green kitten character, who had the most personality out of the 3 of them, and I'm all here for her upbeat selflessness, but I didn't want to make her too similar to Unikitty or Popcorn, or better yet fuse them into one. So I also made her a bit of a scaredy cat, or a shy little kitten if you will. Just me. I read classic golden books when I was really little, So this little kitty has healing and plant-based powers, so of course the queen always wants to keep someone as strong by her side and hope she doesn't rebel, even if she's young and impressionable enough to obey her every command. And now Lip's little plant is just hers, and she can't take it off because it's what keeps her alive. You can imagine how many times Felidina threatens to take it off. Other than that, I simplified her tail a little bit so it was easier to draw, and more clover-shaped, but that's all I really changed about her because I think her design was already pretty cute and didn't want to change it too much. Now may I introduce you to Clovercat. So I guess we learned some things today, but I have no idea how to end this, so thank you again Emily Dean, and everyone else for watching this.